Welcome back. This is the 19th session on this course on manufacturing strategy. We are discussing about the process of developing the operations strategy in last few sessions. As the first few steps in the process of developing operations strategy, we discussed that order winners and qualifiers are the most important thing. If an organization, if a company is able to identify the correct order winners and qualifiers, then rest of the operations strategy can be developed very smoothly. And we discussed in our last few sessions some very specific order winners and qualifiers, their specific characteristics, and those order winners and qualifiers which are particularly relevant for the manufacturing or operations activities. And then we also discussed some order winners and qualifiers which are not very specific to operations, other functional activities like marketing etc. or research and development contribute in getting those order winners and qualifiers. So now moving ahead in this process of developing the operations strategy, in this session we will be focusing on the methodology of developing the operations strategy. So let us first see that what is this overall, the broad methodology, the broad process of developing an operations strategy. So the development of this operation strategy can be divided into two major phases. The first phase is this analysis of the market, and on the basis of this analysis of market you take some actions, and that is the part of your development of operations strategy. Now when I say that analysis of market, so this also consists of two broad activities. One is you have to agree on a particular market, which market your company want to serve. So the first important thing is agreeing on particular markets. Now agreeing the markets again has two components. The one component is the current markets and the second component is the future markets. It is possible that your future market is also the current market. The market which you are serving today, you will like to serve the same market tomorrow, and it is also possible that today you are serving a different market and tomorrow you may go to a different market. So you have to first decide that what are your current markets and what will be your future market in which you will like to compete. And many a times because you feel that over a period of time we may not be able to develop the different types of competing strategies, we may not be able to develop different type of competencies, therefore we need to identify future markets where our current competencies can work. So therefore we need to see that what is my current market and what is my future market, and this future market may be 2-3 different markets. One market which is from current year plus 2 years, then current year plus 4 years, current years plus 10 years. So depending upon the planning horizon you want to set for your organization, you may see many future markets also. It is not one future market, it may be many future markets after a particular time intervals. So that is the first step in analysis of market. We will discuss this point in slightly more detail in our coming slides. Then the second part of analysis of market is you need to determine market order winners and qualifiers. What are the specific order winners and qualifiers for your particular markets? Particular markets mean to say the current market and the future market, because you have identified your current market CY which is available at the current time, and then for the future markets. So you have to identify order winners and qualifiers for these markets. So for all these markets order winners and qualifiers may be same, may be different also. So let us see that what do we mean by these particular things. Like for particular product, you have two customers. We have already discussed this particular example in our previous sessions also, but it is relevant to discuss this example again here. Like for a particular customer A, your order winner and qualifier, you see this is your current year, and then this is 1 year ahead of the current year, and this is 2 year ahead of the current year. Now the design, which is one important order winner, is remaining same for all 3 years. Price is a qualifier, it is same for all 3 years. Delivery reliability, how much you are able to deliver on time, that is a important order qualifying, or you can say the order losing criteria. So therefore we have double Q here. This is order sensitive criteria, or this is a order losing criteria. Then you see delivery speed. Delivery speed for the current period is a order winner having a weightage of 30%, but this weightage is reducing in the next year, it is 20% only, and maybe after some time it remains a qualifying criteria. So how you see that change is taking place in this delivery speed. Then quality conformance remaining a very sensitive criteria, order losing criteria. On the other hand, the R&D support services are increasing in the winning weightage, because initially the weightage is 30% and later this weightage has increased to 60%. So from current year to 2 years advance, you see that how some of the criteria are remaining constant and some of the criteria are changing. So that is one very important thing when you are analyzing the market, and you see that what are the order winners and qualifiers for these markets. So we discussed only for a particular customer, that how for a particular customer, how for a current market, particular customer means how for your current market these order winners and qualifiers are changing. Now let us see for a different customer, that you see that there are 3 different customers. Now you have 2 different products, and you are serving both these products, let us say for the same market, both these products, because there may be large number of products which your company may be offering. So here I am talking 2 products A and B, and now you see for these 2 products also for the same market, both these products we are serving to the same market, and in the current year the design has the winning criteria with a weightage of 45%, and for the second product B in the same market, design has 50% importance in the winning criteria. Price for product A has 15% winning criteria, it is a winner, while for the second product price is simply a qualifier. Then you see delivery reliability is same for both the products. For product A, product B in the same market, delivery reliability, whether you are able to deliver on time, it is a order sensitive criteria. Then delivery speed for product A, in this case it is a winning criteria with a weight of 40%, while delivery speed is a winning criteria, but the relative importance is not so high, it is 20%. So you see here it is 20%, here it is 40% for product A and for product B. For product A, the quality conformance is a qualifying criteria, while for product B, quality conformance is a winning criteria with a weight of 30%. So for the same product, same market, 2 different products are having different set of winning and losing criteria, and the weightage of winning criteria are also changing. It is 45% for design, while it is 50% for design for product B. It is 40% for delivery speed, while it is 20% for product B. Quality conformance for product A is qualifying, and it is 30% for product B. So, therefore, it is important that we need to do a very detailed thorough investigation of order winners and qualifiers in analyzing my market, because as we saw that for different markets these qualifying winning criteria will be different, and for same market for different products winning and qualifying criteria their weightages may be different. So, that is the first important thing, and when we are going to develop operation strategy based on this input of analysis of market, whatever input we get, input in terms of our criteria winning and losing, our weightages for those winning criteria, and on the basis of that the strategy which we are going to develop, that will show, the strategy will speak that what is the direction of the business, and it will point, the direction of the business should always point towards the market. There are various functional activities. We are primarily talking of operations, but there are various functional activities. Marketing is another prominent functional activity, human resource management is another functional activity, information system management is another important functional activity. Now, all these activities should have unity of direction, and this unity of direction should be in the direction of the market. All these functional activities should be targeted, should have the market orientation, what market is expecting, all these functional activities. So, this is one very important thing. If all these strategies, all these functional strategies are not having the same direction, same unity of direction, then probably they may crisscross, and when these strategies crisscross, you will lose the very objective of your organization. So, it is important that the direction of the business is set by the functional strategies, and functional strategies should have unity of direction, and that should be in the direction of the market. So, understanding market, the input for the operation strategy, input for the marketing strategy, input for the information system management, input for the HR management, for all these functional activities the input should be market. And I can take you to the discussion of basic principles of management. In basic principles of management, if you recall, Henry Fayol, who is known as father of management. So, Fayol also gave the principles of management, and one of the very important principle of management of Fayol, which is unity of direction. So, I am just talking of that principle of unity of direction which was given by Henry Fayol. Well, Fayol mentioned that the idea or the direction of working or the thinking of all the employees at all the levels in the organization should be towards achieving the objectives of the organization. If you have different functional objectives, then the larger objective of organization cannot be attained, and therefore, this point of developing the strategy is giving us that idea that the direction of all the strategy should be towards the market. Then second important point which we need to keep in our mind, that the development of strategy is not a straightforward process. It is not a straightforward process, rather it is more like a iterative process. You go forward, then you understand, you take some feedback, you understand that we are not moving in the right direction, then you come back and take some corrective actions. So, it is like a iterative process. There are lot of forward backward movements in this strategy development process. It is not that one after another and then something will happen. So, it is not a straight process, rather it is a iterative process, and when we say that it is iterative process, the characteristic which is required, that there has to be a very serious top management commitment towards the development of the strategy. Otherwise, if it is a iterative process and top management commitment is not there, lot of resources is required, and management may lose interest that okay, there is no need to develop the operation strategy or any other strategy. All these things will go as per the requirement of one particular functional strategy. Maybe that is the reason that most of the functional strategies are driven by the marketing strategy. So, when we say that a strategy development is a more iterative process, we need to see that how much resources are involved, and we need to have patience to go for those round of iterations. It is not going to give you immediate results. You need to wait for getting the proper outcome from these strategies. And then another important thing about development of operation strategy is that it can be market driven, or it can be market driving, or it can be having a combination of market driven and market driving. So, either you can have a pure market driven strategy, or you can have a market driving strategy, or you can have some element of market driven and market driving. When you recall the discussions we had on the framework proposed by Hayes and Wheelwright, where they have classified organizations from internally reactive to externally proactive. They classified organizations into 4 categories, that organizations can be internally reactive and can be externally proactive. Now, most of the organizations where marketing is a very dominated phenomena, in that case organizations or particularly operation strategy is internally reactive. But when you are at stage 3 or stage 4 in the framework of Hayes and Wheelwright, in that case either you are directly taking input from the market to develop your operation capabilities. So, that is the market driven strategy. When you are anticipating that market will be moving in such a direction and I should develop those capabilities well in advance, so that I can be the leader of those changes, I can bring those changes in the market, that is the market driving strategy. Sometime initially market driving strategy takes longer time, longer resources and may not be profitable immediately, but once market achieves those requirements, once market feels that yes, these changes or these things, these characteristics are important for us, then you actually start getting huge amount of profit, huge amount of margin. And many of the organizations try to develop some of the capabilities in anticipation, and for some of the capabilities they see that how market is changing and accordingly change those capabilities. So, that is the third case where part of the capabilities are developed in anticipation and part of the capabilities are according to changes whatever happening in the market. So, you have a balance of market driven and market driving in this third case, and if you are following the market, whatever changes are happening in the market, you are developing your capabilities, competencies accordingly, it is a market driven strategy. When you are anticipating, that how something has happened and those things will happen in our case also. Like for an example, to get the market driving strategy, in some of the part of the world, now we are having a concept known as Industry 4.0, where lot of automation is happening in operations level, in manufacturing level, where robots are coming, where sensors are coming, and you are having huge amount of automation in manufacturing setup. Now, that kind of things will going to happen in Indian manufacturing sector also. So, now if Indian manufacturing sector starts developing capabilities to meet the requirement of high degree of automation, that is the market driven capabilities, because market is changing like that, and slowly these things will happen in India also. So, we are developing those competencies. So, that is, if I am going for IoT based manufacturing, that is my example of market driven competencies. Now, this is one part. Now, second thing is, tomorrow if I feel that customers may not like to purchase costlier products and customers will like to only take those products on rent, and there will be a different model of using the products in the sharing mode. So, I need to develop more robust products which can be shared by different users, and if I anticipate this type of thing is going to happen in the market tomorrow, and I develop product capabilities, I develop my research and development facilities which can produce newer type of products which can handle variety of users. Normally in present circumstances we have one product for one user, but maybe tomorrow if I purchase a car and that car can be shared by 4 different users living close by. So, that is a different type of model, and in that case we require more robust products, and for developing those robust products I need to strengthen my research and development facility. So, that is an example of market driving. Once I have that type of product readily available with me, then I can propose that you can go for sharing of the products. So, that is market driving strategy, and obviously there may be some resistance initially for that type of new phenomena, but maybe slowly and slowly you will see that people will be adjusted to these new kind of models. So, that is market driving, and in third case you may have some component of IoT, you have some component of sharing, and then both these things happen simultaneously. So, you are using market driven and market driving approaches in your strategic development. So, these are some of the important things we need to keep in mind while developing the strategy. Now, when we are developing our operations strategy, and as we discussed that 2 broad phases are there. One part is related to analysis of market, and second part is based on that development of the operations strategy. Now, when we are developing the market analysis, so we need to see one important thing is that we need to analyze the customer behavior, not the customer voice. Now, what is the difference between customer behavior and customer voice? Now, what type of action customer is taking, that is the customer behavior, and what customer is speaking, that is the customer voice. So, what type of orders a customer is placing, that is customer behavior. So, you need to analyze that what type of orders, what type of purchase orders, what type of products a customer is purchasing. So, that will give you a more clear picture, a better picture for understanding your markets, because when customer is speaking, he may speak lot of idealistic thing which are not possible, and therefore, it is more important that what customer order, what type of products customer is purchasing, and on the basis of that you can analyze the market much better than by asking customers what they want. So, this is something which we all need to keep in mind whenever we are analyzing the market. We need to observe the customers behavior by seeing their purchase pattern, what type of processes, what type of investments, what type of product characteristics they are investing in, and on the basis of that you can see that what is the behavior, or you can analyze what type of qualifiers, winners this customer is looking for. So, we have already discussed this that how order winners, qualifiers are changing from customer to customer, from one period to another period, and to summarize these 3 examples which we have just passed through, that customers demand different types of order winners and qualifiers. So, many a times we have discussed this type of phenomena, that in different markets customers require different types of order winners and qualifiers. Then order winners and qualifiers within a market also change over a time. So, we have discussed this with the example of CY, CY1, CY2, that how these order winners and qualifiers are changing over time in the same market. Then another important thing is we need to analyze multifunctional perspective of the market. Now, this multifunctional perspective of the market is very important. We are at this moment analyzing the market from the operations perspective, but we also need to analyze market from the marketing's perspective. We also need to analyze market from the human resource perspective, information systems perspective, and then we need to see that out of those multifunctional perspectives, how many order winners and qualifiers to be supported by operations activity. So, there has to be, point number 1, agreement by multifunctional perspective that these are the order winners and qualifiers, and then for the operation strategies point of view, we need to see that how many such order winners and qualifiers are supported by the operations. So, alone analyzing the market, analyzing the order winner and qualifier is not sufficient, a multifunctional perspective is more useful. Now, when we are analyzing the market, and the first stage is to agree on your current and future markets. Now, the litmus test that you have achieved this status of understanding or agreeing your market is this statement, that you start saying no, you are able to say no to some of the markets, that I am going to serve only this market X and I am not going to serve this market Y. So, when I have clearly able to say that what I am going to do, to which market I am going to serve, that is the clear understanding that now I have recognized my market. Many a times organizations are not clear about which market to serve, and each market they look as new opportunity, and in that way they will serve this market, this market, this market, all X, Y, Z, A, B, C different markets they will like to serve, because they see that each market offers new opportunities to them. So, that is one way of thinking, but what I am trying to say, that if you have this clarity in your understanding that I am going to serve this market and not going to serve this market, it means you have agreed on certain terms and conditions, and only on the basis of that you can say that which market to serve and which market not to serve. No. Then in the second step of analyzing the market, we determine multifunctional perspective, and in this multifunctional perspective the marketing view of the market is very important. We are analyzing the market from the operations view, but determining marketing's view about the market is equally important. Then you need to test that marketing view with other functional views also. So, marketing view may be that I as a operations perspective see that customers are purchasing products because of superior quality, but marketing may say that customers are purchasing product because of better deliveries. Now, if marketing is giving more importance to on time delivery than the quality, so there will be a pressure on operation that how to schedule your production activities so that you can achieve the on time delivery, you can achieve the delivery performance more appropriately than the quality. So, it is a kind of agreement between different functional activities about the order winners and qualifiers, and then you can test that whether the opinion of our personnel is matching with the market requirement or not, and for that purpose you can see that what is the estimated contribution and what is the actual contribution. And you can see that for an example, I say that this particular phenomena for my product, the contribution will come for this product at 10%, but the actual contribution is coming more than that. For another product, you are seeing the contribution at the rate of 20%, 30%, 40% and maybe let us say 50%. Here also you have 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. Now you will see that for some of the products your estimated contribution and actual contribution will be on this line, whatever you are estimating and same contribution you are getting. But for some of the products it is possible that you have estimated 20%, but the actual contribution is just 10%. For some other product you estimated 40%, but the contribution came 50%. For some other product you are estimating 50%, but the contribution came 30%. So there may be variation, that what your executives are feeling that this much estimated contribution will come from this product, but the actual contribution may not be similar. So that means you are not able to identify correct order winners and qualifiers, and therefore this iterative process will come. You need to again go to the market to understand proper order winners and qualifiers, and most of the time your estimated contribution and actual contribution should match. That should come on this straight line, that whatever you are estimating and if you are getting the same amount of contribution, it means you have correctly identified your markets, and within those markets you have correctly identified your order winners and qualifier. So we come to end of this session where we discussed phase 1 of our operation strategy development process. Thank you very much.